Evening. How are you? It's great to have you here this evening. It is September the 18th, 2019. I am Keith Landi, your happy healer for President of the United States. This cast today is directed towards, once again, Jerry Deming, Mayor Deming, and of course to all of the great citizens of Orlando and Orange County, Florida, right here where I live. The home base of your happy healer for president, but indeed your happy healer has been here for the whole last so many years, 2006 until now, 13 years, and I have made so many friends here in Orlando, Florida that I'm proud of, and I have been able to grow and branch out in ways and learn about this great city and all of the wonderful talent and the people that come from here. I would also like to recognize that your happy healer for president has many people around the country already who are supporting him, including, if you've been to the website, then you already know that right here in Florida, in Central Florida, we had the attention of so many Republicans that are in important places, and they only respect the truths that I'm talking about, let's face it. And in this campaign, we're talking about uniting our country. That's a very big deal. Many people, they don't take that lightly because they also care about the continuity of our government and the continuity of our people and the very continuity of our lives. And so I'd once again like to say to Mayor Demings, this show really is about my introduction to the city, because I see myself having, if I am at all successful in this presidential run, a very close relationship with you and the other officials in our city, because I want to make Orlando a showcase city. We already are, so imagine what we could do. I want to be so forward thinking and developing the tools we need to approach the 21st century in America, but also right here in Central Florida to put those tools to the test. I want to do a human development plan that will deal with our crises, our many human crises, everything from homelessness to, let's face it, bigotry and racism is a major problem in America, and just having people that are upset. And so, Mayor, it's my utmost goal to provide a place in this country for people who are just wanting to be prosperous and live out their fate. Think about that. That's their goal, and they can't do that. That they're told they have to work 40 to 80 hours a week just to realize their sustenance in the year 2019, sir. When I have this cell phone right here, it's an XS Max, and I could put together some amazing media. And well, Mayor, I would like to show you, if you would, some of the media I do. And one of the things I'd like to start off with by catching you up to the conversation, sir, is, well, it is about you in a lot of regards in our city. And just recently we were talking about transportation matters in this city, and I'll be discussing some of those too. But in the new world, the world I envision, we're going to be doing things so much differently. Imagine in Florida, we can make Orlando the standard for dealing with hurricanes the right way. And I would endeavor to make Florida one of the best states in the union at dealing with hurricanes, and have them instead help us acquire and position a fundamental plan for dealing with hurricanes in the future that essentially make us hurricane proof. That is important in the 21st century to achieve. And so we are going to talk about plans like that is forward thinking, that only the most bravest souls even ponder to think as such and in such ways that people accept that hurricanes have to be devastating events, but we have the intellect, we have the ability to do so much more, and we will. And let me show you what your Happy Healer for President's ability has been able to accomplish just in media. The way we're getting things out. And Mayor, I'm running a different kind of campaign. I'm coming out to the people and I'm explaining to them right off the bat who I am. And I realize that I'm not a national candidate. I realize that I'm just an individual, but I also realize that those are not necessarily bad things. Indeed, they could even be translated as strengths. Yes, you're asking me about my education, sir. I bet you didn't know that I spent 6 months in Germany, and ich spreche gut Deutsch. And beyond that, sir, I actually am so proud of the many learning endeavors I have had right here in Orlando, among my neighbors, and meeting so many people of culture and learning and studying about our history right in the Happy Healer Organization for Truth, Love, and Happiness. All of that's true too, sir, and I am so proud of that. And what else is true is we live in a society where you have people like Miss Hoffman and others, if I'm saying her name correctly, but that are able to just simply purchase their way into our Ivy League schools. And this is the two Americas that we understand, Mayor, to be true. You get this ultimately. I know you get that. And so we are on the same page in so many things. And the fact that I could bring on so many Republicans just because of the fact that we can speak on the same level when it comes to our Creator. I wear my faith and I intend to use my faith. And I know that our faith in the future and each other has to be the highest in order to deal with these problems. So that I'm really excited about. And what I would like to do now, Mayor, if I could get your attention and to direct it to the screen here, I would like to show you, first off, I have a message up here already for you. So once I step away, you can take a moment and read this message in blue. That is for you. But also, right after that, I would just like you to see, this is the very esteemed mayor of Orange County, and was before that the sheriff of Orange County, and has served just valiantly in my view, has been through some defining moments in Central Florida. We can all say that for sure. And also in the Happy Healer's life as well, in 2017, you were overseeing the sheriff's department when I had my own incident that led to it being 1 year on probation. But it's okay, because, you know, this is how the American people have this reality dishing out the law, and the injustices sometimes are not fair, and it's really not anyone's fault, sir. It's certainly not yours in this case. You weren't there. But I can tell you that we do have larger issues that I am focused on, and specifically it's with the African American community, and we could always do better. And, you know, honestly, this next video that I show you is something that I put together that I feel you can appreciate, Mayor, because you were the sheriff. And so you're not the only mayor who I have been talking about recently now, well, in your sense, very positively. But we also have Mayor Pete, who's one of my esteemed opponents, sir. Mayor Pete is. But this is a man with absolutely no leadership qualifications like you have, sir. I seen you exhibit it the other day when you had citizens right there talking about the issues of our city, dealing with things right close and personal, up close. You are in the middle of it. That's the kind of president your Happy Healer for President would be, sir. I would be exactly just like that, pushing forward all of the agenda items we talk about. But let's stay focused. So I say, you understand what it's like to be a sheriff. And so when Mayor Pete, and you know now as being a mayor. And so when Mayor Pete had an opportunity to address grieving parents or grieving citizens, not even of the family, in this town where recently there was an officer involved shooting of a black man where he lost his life. Once again, in this same thing, we've constantly heard so much of this same story over and over again. Of course, it all goes back to the sick human spirit that we'll be fixing, Mayor, but let's stay focused. And we have here Mayor Pete, who, when he was confronted by these said individuals who were upset, and they had every right to be, I was. And how did our lovely mayor respond? He said that he didn't care for their votes. I couldn't imagine telling people who support me, who put their faith in me, who are looking to me for the answers ultimately. I am so humble about that, sir. And to say to them that I'm not interested in their votes, and to have that in any sense of the form inspire confidence. Yeah, I was very disappointed in the performance of Mayor Pete. And I say, we can do better, sir. And we have to send somebody to Donald Trump who can look him square in the eye and hold him to account and bring the people that love God. Think about that. It's a very strong thing to bring to the table in the world of politics that can't be discounted. In the world of presidential politics, it's a guaranteed win, sir. So I'm going to direct your attention now to the blue message. And then shortly thereafter, you will experience the video that we just talked about with Mayor Pete and your Happy Healer in debate using my acquired skills, sir. I have a wide variety of skills, and we will be using them throughout this campaign, as well as in our media. We're going to get so creative, sir, and we're going to change hearts, and we're going to do our very best, and we're going to be living up to the charge of your Happy Healer, your loving, wholesome, and just ever constant pressure, moving forward momentum, never ending, pushing forward. This is our job. That's your Happy Healer, more importantly. And so God bless you, and thank you for tuning in. We have a great show for you today, folks. We're getting ready to play the mock debate between your Happy Healer and Mayor Pete. And then after that, we have a special, and I do mean special video coming up. This was actually just recently. I was with Mayor Demings, and it was a great time over there. I felt such a warm reception by all the people. And I had an opportunity to talk about my campaign in Orlando, Florida, locally. I ask you to get involved. I want to have my own town halls. Mayor, help me with this if you could, please. I would appreciate it so very much, sir. And that if we can put together some town halls that in person, I know this also would be great for the media apparatus, that part of our campaign that is responsible for its own messaging. We're not leaving this up to the media to do that. We're going to control our messaging, so we're smart about that. And the thing about it is just we're a different kind of campaign in every sense of the word. We are organized, and we are listed with the campaigns, with the FEC. We are talking and doing the things we have to do. We have been at this now for close to 5 months. We have hardcore supporters who care about this vision for America. It's a great vision, sir. It's the life we all want. It's the life we need, really, to deal with the problems we have. And I'm so humble. Once again, I realize the greatness in each and every person in this country. I realize how I am no better than any of them, and how all of us have greatness in us, but that nobody has been asking for that greatness to come out. And that if nobody steps up now to do this and to take the lead, well then golly, I'm your Happy Healer. I spend a life of loving, and if I can't see the truth in doing that, well then golly, who can? And so I'm stepping up and I'm serving my nation, sir. That is what's happening here. I'm not any better than anybody else. We have our condescending candidates. We know who they are by name. I am not them. I am your Happy Healer. You're humble and wholesome and true to the cause and never giving up, Happy Healer for President of the United States. And I take that role seriously because lives are at stake, sir. Our lives right here in Orange County. Up next, your mock debate between your Happy Healer, Keith Landi, and Mayor Pete.
Sir, are a cop-out, and we're just gonna call you the way we see it. You're not Mayor Buttigieg or Buttigieg or whatever you want to call yourself. You're
presidential debate from the Arts Center in Miami.
As we continue the questioning, we want to bring in more members of our team.
So let's turn it over to Chuck Todd and Rachel Madden.
Well, Rachel, I had a dream that we've done this before.
No.
This didn't happen.
The first time.
Definitely first time. Thank you, Lester, Savannah, and Jose. Let's quickly recap the rules one more time. 20 candidates qualified for this first debate. We've heard from 10 of them from last night. We're hearing from 10 more tonight. Breakdown for each night was selected at random. Candidates will have 60 seconds to answer direct questions, 30 seconds for follow-ups, if necessary.
Because of this large field of candidates, not every person will be able to comment on everything, but the less audience reaction there is, the more time they will all get. Over the course of the next hour, we will hear from all of these candidates, but we are going to begin this hour with Mayor Buttigieg. In the last 5 years, civil rights activists in our country have led a national debate over race
over
and the criminal justice system. Your community of South Bend, Indiana, has recently been in uproar
over an officer-involved shooting. The police force in South Bend is now 6% black in a city that is 26% black. Why has that not improved over your 2 terms as mayor?
Because I couldn't get it done. My community is in anguish right now because of an officer-involved shooting. A black man, Eric Logan, killed by a white officer. And I'm not allowed to take sides until the investigation comes back. The officer said he was attacked with a knife, but he didn't have his body camera on. It's a mess, and we're hurting. And I could walk you through all of the things that we have done as a community, all of the steps that we took from bias training to de-escalation, but it didn't save the life of Eric Logan. And when I look into his mother's eyes, I have to face the fact that nothing that I say will bring him back. This is an issue that is facing our community and so many communities around the country. And until we move policing out from the shadow of systemic racism, whatever this particular incident teaches us, we will be left with the bigger problem of the fact that there's a wall of mistrust put up one racist act at a time, not just from what's happened in the past, but from what's happening around the country in the present. It threatens the well-being of every community. And I am determined to bring about a day when a white person driving a vehicle and a black person driving a vehicle, when they see a police officer approaching, feels the exact same thing, a feeling not of fear, but of safety. I am determined to bring that day about.
Thank you.
No, excuse me. Mayor Pete.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm not letting that go. Mayor Pete, this is a time for leadership. You failed to take leadership in your own city. Sir, you've done it in your city. I don't think the American people should. Sir, you have done it in your own city. I don't think you should allow him to take care of our policing, nor is he capable of taking care of our people. He has let us down. He has failed over and over again. And quite frankly, you want to know what he's good at? He is great at showing the American people that no matter how privileged you are, it doesn't make you a better candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. No, sir. What works is having the preparation, having the leadership skills, knowing that leadership skills and preparation and love, coupled with humanity and the necessity to get things right in our time, demands of us to be honest and to say the truth. In the day you look just a moment ago. I'm not done.
You're a disgrace, Mayor. That's what you are. You say you can't handle the situation in your own city because you are the mayor and you can't take sides. Well, it takes leadership to be able to talk to people, and you lack that leadership. That's the problem, Mayor. You don't have a single strong bone in your body, and that's why you failed when the moment to lead came. You failed, and now you want America to give you that same moment? I think not. Over the Happy Healer's dead body, sir. You failed to have leadership, and now you want to say that you couldn't do it because you were mayor. That is a cop-out, and I'm calling a cop-out when I see a cop-out, and you, sir, are a cop-out, and we're just going to call you the way we see it. You're not Mayor Buttigieg or Buttigieg or whatever you want to call yourself. You're not even Mayor Pete. You're Mayor Gay Boy. Let's face it, that's why they're chasing you. That's why they're supporting you, Mayor.
You punk! You stinking punk! How dare you do that to me? I'm so much more the man than you will ever be. I will duplicate. I will annihilate. With ideas you never heard of! Get out! Further, I'm not finished. Further, and moderator, just a moment. I'm not finished. Just a moment. Further. Folks, the moral of the story here is, elect people who care about you. Okay, welcome back to the program, Mayor Demings. I hope you enjoyed that. I am your Happy Healer for President, Keith Landi, and I take my role very seriously. Nobody's filling this role, Mayor. Nobody. And if somebody doesn't step up, you see what we have, people that can't even take leadership on the most basic human elements. Matters that if we don't have a president that can deal with these kinds of things, how are we ever to deal with the racism and bigotry that we're dealing with in today's society? How things have already been irritated, how the human spirit is so upset. Sir, that's what we're dealing with, and we have to give that raw and straight. How come none of our leaders are doing that? They all seem incapable. You know, and I'm very humble about this because since none of them are doing it, I'm coming forth. This is a courageous thing for somebody in my shoes to be doing. But yet I can do it, and I am prepared for it, and all of that just equals out to make me a better candidate for it, and that I have, as your Happy Healer, been working already on my own character and for a life worth living, as I call it, which is far beyond the material possessions of earth alone, just for the sake of material possessions. I'm focused on a life worth living. That's right. That means happiness, serving to the human causes, serving to human happiness, not bare necessities. That's what greed does, sir. We talk about it on this program all the time. It's not about demonizing anybody. It's not even demonizing those who have billions of dollars. Under a system that puts humanity first, those billionaires will have more billions. That's just the way it works. And we're not talking about killing capitalism, the very engine that is behind America's success up until this point. Even though capitalism itself has been flawed and more or less working against itself the last 20 years, and I'll try to explain in less than 60 seconds why that is. And that is, in my view, because the American people have for the last 20 years been living on that same promise we talk about, where in the 50s, our parents have been told that they'll go from working one parent to having to work for no parents. Well, after the turn of the millennia, many of us feel like that was a future that came and gone, and that was what was robbed from that was our very ability to get to this human place where we can work on our spirituality, our human essence, and have the very natural progression of the human enlightenment that's taking place already around our busy lives. Imagine if we had time. People like Elon Musk say that the very notion and idea of taking on an income for all would make and demand and make necessary people to work on their humanity. I agree. And further, he said that was one of the things that he was worried about. I'm not. That's why we need our Happy Healer for president. Mayor, that's what makes me uniquely qualified in these very trying times for the United States of America, and that we need somebody who can show us calm and that expresses that well, and that has been through many of the disasters this country is going through in terms of our human crisis. That is our largest crisis, sir. When you have people who that when they do have money, they're depressed and can't be spoken to and can't be reasoned with, and you have the same thing if they don't have money, and everybody in between, and all people, all races, everybody. They are all virtually affected by the insanity that is running through our ranks in society. People are all but losing it, and they're barely keeping together the basic necessities for keeping life itself going. And we are just this close into a general civil war in the view of many people. And instead of stepping back, all of the candidates that are nationally recognized right now, and it's scary for me to know this, but and I'm sure it's the same thing for you too, and that's why we're running, and that's why we have to do something about it, and because we want to put Orlando on the map, and because we want to do special things in our lives, and that this can be that chance, and that God made a way, and that there is a real true way. There's a way. I explain it all the time, and it's coming true as long as we make that truth the truth that we live. And so, not to throw myself too far off, I have a tendency, because I know how important it is, that when we have to get serious about anything, I am prepared. That is what being prepared for being president is in the 21st century. We have too many things going on. In fact, let's segue right now, because we have a great huge show to share with you, Mayor, and I have set up the next portion, which was pre-recorded. This is the live portion, but that'll be coming up in a moment. Right now, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the news items, and I really think that everybody running for president especially, but even in other positions, should do media and share with the communities in which they serve their views. And you do a great job of that, coming out and doing the town halls, and that's what I want to do. And I want to be able to answer questions and get to the nitty gritty, and I think it's the best way, sir. So thank you for leading on that level, and I would appreciate any help that you could provide in that area. And so we have recently had Iran, so says our military establishment, the Pentagon and others, that they have sent missiles and cruise missiles into Saudi Arabia, and now there's a push for retaliation, and there are so many different crises that we are realizing could just unfold at any point. And what I want to do in this next news segment is talk about specifically one that's kind of brewing, you could say. And this is why it's important that we hang on to our freedoms. I'm a big proponent of being logical and safe when it comes to our freedoms, because we have already seen what freedom warfare does. People on this side, they hate the people on this side. Well, they can't lobby and throw bullets, so instead they take their freedoms, and we all lose. It's a form of suicide warfare, if you ask me. It's insanity, cutting your nose off to spite your face. But people make that bridge every single time when they have anger controlling their actions. When you're like your Happy Healer and you have love controlling your actions, you see the insanity in that. It is insane, isn't it? We're losing too much with that kind of thinking. So, one of the areas we have to be very careful in especially with this president, is he is savvy. He knows how to control people. He can control when you are an angry person. If you have triggers, if I could use these words and I know how you'll respond, then I know how to control you. I assure you of that. I know I can control you. I know by the bare balls of my standing here that I can control you from here to Timbuktu with your triggers. And you think Donald Trump don't know that too? Now I want to see you try to control me. That's right. That's because we're focused. There are none of those issues that people are having. We are clear and focused on what's right. And that's why we're just in the moment, doing what we're doing, saving the Republic if we're lucky, if we're fortunate enough. And so, okay, in this next segment, Mayor, and I'm sure you're aware of this, in the news recently, we've got the courts weighing in on a very serious subject. So I'm just going to read with you, and I have in my pocket here this story, and then right after this, we're going to get into the video that is the subject for this overall show, and that is for your mayor here that's with us, and I would really like to get to that momentarily, but we do just have to discuss a couple of items that are really concerning. So President Trump just asked the Supreme Court to let him fire the CFBP's head. The implications are enormous. Now, why do they say that? They say that because then, let's say through this next election cycle, that President Trump wants to fire the Fed chairman or one of his people. He has the authority to do that then. And so this is one of those tricky situations. I think it's important enough to understand early on, and that we are not the candidacy of those three-word mission statements. We have our mission statements, like we are fighting for a life worth living, but they're backed by very real reasons, aren't they? And we're really prepared to debate this stuff to the bone, because we want to ask those people who have been governing why they allowed it to get to this point. But let's not point fingers, because just like we need these great new changes to deal with the problems that are at our doorstep, what we also need to accompany all this greed, this hell that the greed brought, is a great new age of redemption. I contend that's for real, and I'd like to hear folks' opinion on that. I think it's serious. I'm not saying that I'm too much budgeable on it. I know it's the right thing to do, and besides, you're never going to have a movement from the ground level, from a pure level, from the people that are trying to make a better system for the people, by and of the people, which was the intention of our self-determination in the founding documents of our country. If we can't step up to do that in the first place, that somebody can't find the courage to be that person, and that's who your happy healer is. And then when that person does step up, should they recognize these truths to be able to exercise and enact, because that's what we need to do. And indeed, we do need to do that. Look how bad greed has been. And people that are good people, they have a hard time being pure in their own minds. And often pure people that don't like doing greed too well and have a hard time with it and suffer with it, and that the society is virtually turned so much into that. I do contend this is the truth, and my experiences show this to be true. And for people at the bottom, they really see this to be true. People who are of middle class status, they get a bit more blinded and shielded from some of the harshness of it, but it's all bad, and it all needs to get better and brighter, and it should have been already, but it would never do that under a system of greed. And we actually say it's okay. We defend it. And then we say we have to take care of racism and take care of bigotry and do other things while defending the greed that's killing that's actually seeing people die on the streets, and that we say it's okay out of greed, that is a sin too far, my friends. That's why we need a healthcare for all plan that actually takes care of people so that people can stop crying about their loved ones dying for no good cause. All right, let's get right into this. On Tuesday, the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to hear a lawsuit challenging the leadership structure of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, taking the same side as the people suing the government and the nature of the constitutional dispute. The administration essentially threw in the towel in a challenge by the consumer and a protection agency started by the senator and presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren. As a general rule, the Justice Department has a duty to defend these laws behind the government. However, the administration decided not to cover the law at issue in this case. With the Justice Department urging the court to weigh in, it's very likely that the justices will do so. The policy implications of this suit, the CFPB, whatever those acronyms are, it's kind of unclear. In a narrower sense, it's a case whether a federal agency could be led by a single director that the president is not able to remove. More broadly, however, is the case is a recent skirmish over the war over what kind of government our Constitution permits. Most likely, the Supreme Court will hold that the president may remove the CFPB director in the short term. That will give a big boost to a future Democratic president, potentially allowing a President Landi to remove the one that Trump has in on my very first day of being president. But the court would also go much further if they like. There's a chance, albeit a small chance, that the Supreme Court could strike down the CFPB in its entirety. There's a greater chance that the Supreme Court could disallow the independent agencies in which the leaders of those agencies are protected against removal by the President of the United States. President Trump, in other words, would gain the power to fire members of the Federal Reserve Board who refuse to inject steroids into the economy while Trump is running for re-election. And then looming over all of this is an ideological that the executive, the theory that all the power in the United States government must be vested in the president, and the legacy of the late Justice Antonin Scalia. The fight over who can fire the director in most federal agencies are led by another senior official that can be fired ultimately by the president. By contrast, the independent agencies, by like the Federal Trade Commissions, asked to see the FCC communications, and they're led by partisan boards and have staggered terms. There's problems here. Members of such boards can only be fired by the president for cause which typically prevent the president from removing the board members simply because they disagree with that board member's policy views. The CFPB is unusual. It's led by a single director, not by a board. But that board and that director is also protected by a system of laws from a president who wants to fire that said board president. And so the only way a president could fire them is if there was some problem with their performance to duty. Indeed, one particularly conservative federal judge claimed that consent of the government is a sham if the CFPB's structure is allowed to stand. To understand why this case inspires such intense feelings, turn back the clock about 3 decades to the Supreme Court's 1988 decision of Morrison v. Morrison involved a federal law which expired in the 1999 that provided for the independent counsel's special prosecutor that could only be fired by the president, and that was only for cause. The Supreme Court upheld the independent prosecutors and the statute by a 7-1 vote, with Justice Antonin Scalia providing the one dissenting vote. You know that? The Constitution provides the executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States. For Scalia, this does not mean some of the directive power, but all of it. Because of the power to bring prosecutions in the executive branch of government, there can't be a prosecutor that's not answerable to the president or some lower official who is answerable to the president. This is the theory of executive, and that is that they have a single charge, and that is that the president must be above everybody else in that chart, said Scalia in this chart board. It doesn't just simply attack the independent statute. It also marks the court's 1935 opinion in Humphrey's Executive B, United States, which permits the creation of independent agencies led by member boards. They form a majority of the court, and they embrace the full implications of consent that the president could fire commissioners, and that would destroy the independence of these Federal Reserve, for example. And then you have a single director who can't be removed by the president, which would be the idea of proponents. Like the statue in Morrison challenged the law vests the kind of power that traditionally held by the executive branch in a single person, and then indeed it does more than that, giving that that person an entire command of an agency. Many powerful folks agree that one of the most, like Brett Kavanaugh, for example, that said in 2016 that he wanted to put a final nail in the Morrison majority of opinion's coffin. This is what he said. How far is the Supreme Court likely to go then? This is the question. And a handful of judges have claimed that a handful of these, what do they call it, the CFBP, that's what this thing is called. As a lower court judge, Kavanaugh heard a very similar lawsuit that presented the same question as to whether the CFPB could have a single director who could not easily be fired by the president. Think about that. Though Kavanaugh agreed that the director must be accountable to the president, he wrote that the CFPB could continue to operate with the president, that he could remove the director at any time. And without Kavanaugh's vote, it's hard to see how litigants that want the CFPB to die could find 5 votes on this particular Supreme Court, at least in the short term. So Kavanaugh's view could be a view to Democrats, and it could be a boon for the Democrats who support this view. And it would allow them on the first day of their presidency, should it be me, to reverse whatever happens here. So this would collectively transform the CFPB into an order just to, whenever a partisan control comes along, you could change this place. So an uncertain question is whether there's 5 votes to potentially eliminate agencies that have the member majority board. So they've taken steps to do this already, obviously, so this is outstanding. And what we are looking at in this particular situation will continue to follow this. But we are always concerned with our freedoms and where we're headed with them, and how in many cases we are just losing them. I told you, in a freedom warfare environment, the last thing you ever want is for these kinds of officials that are not acting in love to have more power. Think about that, Senator Warren. Think about that. What I'd like to do now is, because the whole night tonight is geared towards this next video that we play, and this is about Mayor Deming. I appreciate you, sir. And this next video is for the video that we had planned. It runs for about 45 minutes. It's awesome. I think you'll agree. So here goes. allow greed. This problem has been infecting the soul of our people. We have to realize if we ever intend to get the magical aspects of our human spirit out and about so that we can love and be free in that love, we have to get to love, I contend, and we can. And that love is truth, and love is pure love. And I break that down in my campaign because you might think it's simple, but it's not. And it's at the heart of our problems. We have to away from that hate everybody's exercising, away from that disunity, and we have to realize with my leadership, I know exactly that. And I live in a magical love. Before I allow that love, and we have to get to love, and we can. And that love is truth, and love is pure better love. And I break that down in my campaign because you might think it's simple, but it's not. And it's at the heart of our problem. Shut down the house. And I live in a magical love. We have to get to love. All right, folks. All right, we're back on live. I am your happy healer for President, Keith Landi. I just wanted to come on because we had a great lineup of folks on board, especially my friends, my conservative friends. You mean so much to me. It just tugs at my heart when I have you guys with me, and especially I know that in a moment, I'm live right now, and just know that when I have you guys and we're showing this stuff, I thought it was actually with sound. It's a great production, and so what we're going to do is get it just wired back up again. And Mayor Demings, and for all the rest of the folks who've been on, I think it played for about a good 15 minutes and there is no sound to it, which is unfortunate because we've been having a good program thus far. And so what I would encourage you to do is, because I want to rescue this program from sort of, this is how the devil works in our lives sometimes, especially when you're just the humble happy healer and you're making steam, forward, grand momentum. Don't you think that dirty devil sees that? Don't you know that that's the truth? Oh, I know it's the truth. And so when I see this, you better believe my little rattled hump, I am very upset, and you could feel it because I feel that energy. I'm just your happy healer love nuts. And when you get between me and people that are receptive to that is a problem for me. And that's what often these systems are designed to do. And they're designed to answer to greed. Some people, they get me wrong. They think I have some vendetta or I have some anger issue with greed. I mean, who has that? Greed serves people. It serves people like me. If I would I could just go play the greed game. The problem is that that's not serving to our spirits. Remember, that's the problem, folks. Oh no, we know what the problem is. So we've got to fix that, because here's what happens. When you're the greedy guy, you're hurrying up. You see, here's all of us, all right? We're all on the field. The whole bunch of us. Human species, okay? And the rewards are up above. The rewards are just ahead the plane. Just in the field above and beyond. Just above, past the river. And at the river's edge lays all God's gifts. Everything's there. All God's gifts. And all you have to do is just let's hold in hands and let's take this walk together. That's all it is. Just holding hands, you have trust, you have that love and faith, because when love is in a feedback loop and it's actually serving back to humanity, you're caring about people. And right now, in this system of greed, you're taking value from humanity. You can't say that as a human being, you have purpose and value. After all, we don't even have health care for all. We don't have a lot of things. This is just almost basic and elementary for the kinds of things that love would provide. Love is so much more than about bare necessities. Love is about a happy life. Love is about fulfillment of purpose. And nobody's providing that. All they're providing for us is insanity, and they're providing lies. They're making us so discombobulated, so angry, and so ripped apart. It's hard to carry on like that. And so when we hear those trigger words like they have designed for us to hear and react to and do certain things, we don't disappoint, which is disappointing for your happy healer. That's why I teach and I say we have to get rid of our triggers. That's the only way to protect yourself from this particular kind of combat. And by the way, it just so happens that should you follow God's plan, you would never have that problem, because in God's plan of love and truth, you would never be getting so cozy with a lie and all that hate and judgment. You would be in a much better place already, and that place would serve to your soul, just like it serves to your happy healer's soul too. And Mayor Demings, oh boy, you bet. We're going to be putting that program back on in just a moment. I hope you enjoyed the one between your happy healer and Mayor Pete, because that was quite important to me. And the fact is, I would have reacted, well, not quite exactly like that. Part of this is just humorous. But also, I am quite upset. Here's a man who can actually become the next president of the United States, and he cannot even console people or take the leadership when somebody is involved in an officer-involved shooting. You know, as our former sheriff right here in Orange County, that this is serious business, and that Mayor Pete is like a little boy on this job. He has no courage. You've got to have courage. And that's how come you know when your happy healer's standing here, he might be of the people, by and for, and standing right with the people. That, in a sense of its own right, is a bit odd. Not often do we find those that we can trust at that, but it turns out those were the best trusting ones, because all we ever needed was love. That love is that perfect effort, that perfect asset, that perfect being, not the individual. Think about that. That love is that perfect effort, that perfect individual, that perfect being. It is not advantageous to realize this truth and not do anything about it. Think, make some changes. You can do love easily. People say, how do I deal with that greed you put forward? It's just we get used to our lifestyles. You know, you can't change that stuff easily. That's why I say, back at candidacy like mine, I've been working on becoming the happy healer for so long. I've been working on a lot of these things. I can teach it. We can have a very nice transition to a much happier world for America. We're the richest country in this world. Why can't we have this, I contend? Are we asking for too much here? We represent 25% of the nation's overall wealth. Think about that. We are 5% of the world's, I said nation, but we know the world's overall population, 5%. And we're 25% of that wealth. Think about that. And we have people, mother and father, working both, sometimes 2 jobs each. Back when in the 50s we didn't have all this. How come people are not outraged? But they are. Their spirit is so outraged, and they're losing it. It's just not being reported like that. Instead, you're seeing these people go in their camps. They can't see the truth for what it is. That's because they're not focused on God's plan, which is so simple, which actually, in a way, everybody gets a little. And it's the best plan because it's where we get unity, and it's where we can confront our problems and usher in a brand new technological age. And for those people who always love their greed anyway, they'll have more in the new technological age of super consumerism than in this hell, where nobody can even find a significant other that lasts. Let's be honest. This is about a life worth living just as much as it is for anything else. All right, folks, what I'm going to do is end this cast due to the previous malfunction with the sound to give the next video all the push I can because it's deserving of it. It was put together by me the last couple of days. A lot of hard work and effort went into this. It was representative of the meeting I had just had, or at least the attempt speaking out to Mayor Demings. I'm trying to get this campaign off the ground in a larger way. We've been at this for 5 months, so I've become very comfortable with running for president, which was part of my own conditioning phase. I intended on that because I knew that if one of us were to ever run for president, we would almost have to get into it in such a way, open our lives up, prove who we are, talk about how can you otherwise have an unknown run for president. And so I was very pragmatic in that we really have the recipe. And I just said a moment ago that it's not about being this condescending candidate or a perfect candidate way up here. It never was. In fact, every time we ever went for those, it's only later that we discover they were far from perfect and always up to their ears in corruption. In fact, it's the reason why just for me to have an ability to step up in the first place, I have to what comes with my candidacy is a promise of redemption. You better believe it. And these devils will have me dead before we get there. But seriously, people deserve a second chance. They deserve a second shot. This greed I do believe that greed itself is the devil within. That's part of my faith. I believe that, just like I believe that love is part of God and the very truth around us. This is the truth we need to be focused on, and we lose and get so blind. We get so lustful. We love things and have no real reasons for it. And we hate things and we have no reasons for that too. I say, well, where is your conviction then? I know where mine is. It's rooted in the truth. It's rooted in love. And it's rooted in a vision of the future that's one of a life worth living. It's people happy and more than just content. It's happiness and it's joy. And it's exciting. Because we can have that reality. We just need to make it. It's made out of love. This stuff has always been here. You ask if you live in a just world. The answer is yes. The question is, can we use the tools God has provided for us and put right before us? And the answer, I do also believe, is yes. That's why I'm here. And we're stepping up. I have this home for sale, Mayor. I don't know if you know that, but I have my home for sale and I'm selling it for this campaign. And I'm hoping that this will finally show and make me at least reputable enough to have at least one interview by a national news agency. I mean, how much effort does a normal American like you and me, how much effort would we need to put into such an endeavor? Now let's anticipate one thing here. I have real answers for our future. How can I say if I'm the one? How can anyone say if they're the one? I'm not approaching this like this. How I am approaching it is that I have answers that will work, that if not used at this time now, when they could be used to best effect and can change all of our lives and make great lives, almost the opposite, that which if we don't do, we will be in hell. Let's put it like that. I won't say we'll be in heaven, but if we don't do it, we will be in hell. And that we are headed in some place. We're careening almost off a cliff. And I'm humbled by all of that, Mayor. I'm humbled. So I come to this with an expectation that I'm going to have hell to pay. I had an easier job just being the happy healer. I'm a humble guy. I don't need all that. But guess what? Even my happy healer, humble happy healer life comes under attack by this hell to pay that there is to pay. There is so much hell to pay when you do greed. What do you think's going to happen when you're in that crowd and you're all going towards God's rewards? And then you've got those doggone stragglers. They couldn't just trust the system. They had to break rank, and they ran ahead, and they messed everything up. And here's the thing. Trust and love works the same way. Greed is a dirty liar. It's allowed to lie. Love, it makes concessions because it wants to survive against all the odds. But here's the deal with love and greed. Greed has been the one to take us through the barbarian days. It's been our ally through that time. Without the greed, I'm not sure how humanity would have done it. we have our love at that time too. It serves its purpose, doesn't it? Think about how cold those campfires had to have been just to stay warm. Yeah, those are real human beings, people like us, right? Just think many years ago. And you have to think about this greed thing. It kept folks like that alive. And in fact, they were far from it. They were more towards loving. But when we got to the industrial age, and there's a lot of greed in that hell, by the way, because they cold-blooded killers back then, and it was just normal. They were hard people. Like I said, barbarians, they do need their greed. Society, the more civilized you become, the more that you can use that gift of love that God has given us to use, to have a civilized society, but then not to use that gift and to still remain on to old ideas. And the more we hang on to them, the worse things become, and to know that and do nothing, and then to keep moving forward into this technological future and to not step forward in a real way, that we're not doing anything to become more civilized with the times. Humanity is in need of an age of enlightenment. And the last time we failed to see that as a species, alternatively to having our age of enlightenment, which we ultimately had to have anyway, okay? We had instead a dark ages, but that was because of our unwillingness to be taught, to learn anything from our mistakes. The age of enlightenment was our time to say, we will trust in sciences. We will trust in what our eyes see. And now we're getting away from that again. Remember, I have told you, we have love and truth in this campaign. Love and truth in this candidacy. And as your happy healer, I have always been about love and truth as guiding principles in my life and a happy, balanced life. And that is how we serve to our creativity and how we get to a place where living is worth it. So exciting. Time for me flies. People, they're so upset about life. I can't wait till the next day. What can I do? Running for president just feels like following my own fate, for example. This is how we all need to be living. And I'm confident. I do this day in and day out. You go to the website, www.happyhealerforpresident.com, and you learn about this campaign. Indeed, you shall see for yourself that I believe, and I have set up a site that is indicative of one who believes they will become your next president. We have everything laid out, and that's because the people need to know this stuff. And I said, Senator Warren, she's got a bunch of plans, but I don't think she has a plan for me. The only question is, and I said it earlier in the show, can you think of it? And this is why I'm talking to you, Mayor. The only question is between now and the next 2 months, 90 days, well before that, folks, well before that. We're listed with the FEC. We are with the Federal Election Commission. We have to make a movement forward. We have to get on the news. And I need a campaign manager. So if you want to serve this country and you think you would make a great campaign manager for your Happy Healer, and you've watched this cast and you know who I am and what we're about, that would be a great fit. But also that you're a hard worker, because we can make things work. And I want your expertise, and I'm humble that I don't have a problem realizing when somebody has the right answer. At the end of the day, what is most important is getting the right thing done, not being right just for the sake of being right, and sometimes going with that which is wrong just to be right. That is insanity, folks. And I will always go with what is right. You ever want to change my mind? You show me the error of my ways. You show me the greater truth of what is, and I will show you God showing us that truth. I'll easily go with that. So that is just being an honest broker of truth. And that's why I say I'll have no problem getting my fellow friends who love God on board. So if you want to beat Donald Trump, then the way to do that is to put a Democrat in who actually can bring people who love God on board. And really, it makes sense. All of us need a unified future, and we want to serve to our happiness and our higher living principles. This is what we all argue about, how to get there. But then to put it in the law and to put somebody forward, and for the Democrats to put somebody forward that say they love God, these are making inroads. And you don't have to be some scaredy cat over here about your happy healer either. I am a gay guy. And I get it. Ultimately, I rely on science. I realize that this is God's world. And I rely on so many things. And I realize that we don't understand all the truths. And that the best thing we could ever do is respect those we do understand and make sense out of the truth God provides right here for us all to see so clearly. And so I do. I always say, let that work for you. Be relaxed in that truth. Let that ease your concerns about any worries about electing somebody who is just like you. Because we're dealing with the truth of their governorship. The condescending people. The people that just by the mere place they have in society makes them so qualified to become president. And when I say I'm running for president because I live in my humble home and I'm an ordinary American, and by the way, I'm much more well-spoken than many of these candidates, and yet my candidacy is taken like a joke by many people just because they are so driven into the popular belief, even when they say they are not, they still are in some cases. And here's how I respond to that. I love them. That's all. I just love them. I have no time for anything else. I don't have time for hatred. I'm not holding on to your hate. I'm not giving you hate. Why would I hate you back? Why would I entertain such an energy that has been destroying our lives? And so you're not even allowed to hate me ultimately. You'll get on with this show eventually. Okay, folks. So I have a decision to make. I feel like we've redeemed the show, but I don't like that. We have had that 15 minutes of silence. But what I'm going to do is step off camera, and we're going to start that portion that failed earlier. This time we'll ensure there's sound. We'll continue going with this again, Mayor, so that you just consistently have this vision, this view. I'm out there for you, but I just wanted to answer to the situation, especially for a group of folks who I've been working so hard to impress and to show and to impress upon the seriousness of the nature of my candidacy, as well as why I'm a candidate at all and why I'm so humble in that and why I'm doing it and how it's so hard to do. Please don't put your happy healer nuts in a vice. Many people do that. Don't add to that. Let's be a part of the solution. I'm not going to give up anyway. This is my fate. This is my version of a life worth living. Not because being president is a life worth living, but because doing these things for all of us and that we all have value and purpose, the kind which they don't seem to recognize, and that if none of us do this, then none of us have it, and that's the value and purpose we're talking about. And because of that, I'm running. Say thank you. And move on and be happy somebody did it. And help that. And back that. And stay forward because I have a great next 45 minutes for you. Deal? All right. That was all impromptu as well. I cut off the other video for that because it had no audio. Thank you guys for telling me too. And I need just a minute while I discover why it had no sound. And then we'll be going. And I'll have this momentarily here for you. Alright, so we're going to pump in background.
Brought down the house. Yes. Think about the fundamentals. Think about the fundamentals. The fundamentals are from the building blocks of life, and I mean the smallest aspects. You've got atoms, you've got the tiniest molecules that you could ever imagine. We know that we still have so much more work to do, and that while we are failing to do it because we're too busy fighting our senseless civil war, when actually both sides and all sides of America want this future we're talking about right here. Well, in the meantime, we have China who is working on precisely that
technology. Should they bring in the technological singularity before America does, which we will be talking about in this campaign, then America will... Town Hall. The final and the last one, it looks like, and the last, we saved the last, the best is...
Hey, oh my God! Appreciate you. I think I've seen you on social media.
Yeah.
Glad you remarks.
Yeah.
You brought down the house.
Yes. Okay, folks, we are good to go. And I just wanted to let you know that I discovered what the problem was and fixed it. Enjoy. Think about the fundamentals. The fundamentals are, from the building blocks of life, and I mean the smallest aspects, you've got atoms, you've got the tiniest molecules that you could ever imagine. We know that we still have so much more work to do, and that while we are failing to do it because we're too busy fighting our senseless civil war, when actually both sides and all sides of America want this future we're talking about right here, well, in the meantime, we have China who is working on precisely that technology. Should they bring in the technological singularity before America does, which we will be talking about in this campaign, then America will atone for that in ways that we are not prepared to. My fellow Americans, take that as a warning. It is the truth, and it is a humble truth. It is a holy truth, and it is the only truth. Hello, good evening. I am Keith Landi, your happy healer for President of the United States. All right, we're getting ready to go into the meeting here. This is for the Transportation Town Hall. The final and the last one, it looks like, and the last, we saved the last, the best is for last, and that is Mayor. Thank you for showing up. I am your happy healer, Keith Landi. I'm right here in Orlando, Florida. I wanted to be last because I'm actually running for President of the United States. Thank you. And if you get a chance, go to HappyHealerForPresident.com. HappyHealerForPresident.com. And thank you, Mayor. In this world, all you need to be focused with is being a lover. It feels like everything I do is just a different way than how people are running their campaigns. So it's easier to just do this.
More relaxed now.
Yeah. And to just have those moments, and it makes me feel better, you know? Then I don't feel like I'm defying what I'm supposed to be doing. Right, yes, be sure to. Oh, I've got all my heart into it, so we're going to do something with it if we can, for sure.
I want to take a picture with you.
Definitely.
You just cut everybody like...
That's right.
Your comments were great. Okay.
Yeah, you all did a great job talking about our community.
Yeah, because it's true. They got to finish one thing, right?
That's right.
The first president.
That's right.
You shot everybody. We're like...
Thank you. God bless you. And check it out, HappyHealerForPresident.com. My name's Keith Landi, but I take my Happy Healer journey very seriously. When you go on the site, you'll see why. And I've got a plan, just like Senator Warren says. I don't think she has a plan for me, however, but I do have a plan, and it's a wonderful plan. And so many people like SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, has actually picked up my message and has sent out a tweet endorsing me, an unknown, a relative unknown out of over, like you said, 800 candidates running for president. This evening, I had a great time together with my friend Al. We went out to the meeting for transportation right here in Orlando, Florida with Mayor Demings. And we also had about 200 local Orlando folks that were there, and we were able to talk about my candidacy, for which I am so grateful for having been able to have done, because I have been working so hard, working my Happy Healer heart out, talking about things that are so important to our country and the future of our people, the future of our lives, our very salvation. And it means so much to me, as I know it does to you as well. We address the actual issues that our country is facing instead of all of the discombobulation, disunity, danger, might I add, danger. This disunity, civil disunity, is causing our country to become bursting at the seams. We can't take too much of that anymore. So follow your Happy Healer in this campaign. Listen to the things that I am saying. Hear me out. Give me a chance. Yes. And I've lived in Orlando for 13 years, and I would appreciate you checking out and getting more familiar with who I am.
I am. That's why I asked you your name.
Yeah, because you know what? I would love to, even if you had some time, like now's you're doing your thing. Hi, Mayor Demings. Actually, I would love an opportunity to talk to you about our city. We're going to be talking to so many people around this country in this campaign. And one of the messages that I have for Americans is be prepared to do such hard work of lifting our own cities up. We are going to build our cities into superstructures, just like the super consumer, the American consumer will be with the Landi presidency, and more importantly, the American ingenuity and the American exceptionalism unleashed. So you better believe, Mayor Demings, I'll be right here in Orange County with you, lifting folks up, lifting hearts up, lifting people up off the streets, and building our city one block at a time. And that's how we lead, from the front lines with the people, showing them how it's done. And you, sir, have shown great leadership, showing example on how we can do that, how we can talk to people, and how we can bring people together based on ideas. So I look forward to doing that. And I am running as a Democrat because I believe in providing people insurance, and providing people health care, and providing people full stop all of their needs for that matter. I want to go full stop because I know we have to do it in order to achieve the new world of super consumerism, the new world of technology, the new world of our enlightenment that will lift America and her people into a new age that we have long been promised as our fathers and mothers long ago had been told that by the time we were adults, we could have the benefit of living off of technology, and that we can finally, and thank you, Mayor, fulfill our human destiny. That is such a big deal to know that we could finally fulfill our human destiny, because unless we do that, we will never be able to deal with the biggest issues of our time that's plaguing the American spirit, such as the bigotry and the racism and the constant hell that we have to pay in this country that is ripping our fabric of America apart. So we have to be honest about what to do in order to atone that situation. I know that it will take working from the bottom up. That's why I am so serious about my candidacy. It does not matter that I come from the bottom. I have been through many perceptions within the American experience. As I told Mayor Demings, I am not your condescending candidate way up here. No, no, sir. I am your happy healer, your whole happy healer. I am your humble, happy, and whole happy healer for President of the United States. And that is because we have to be prepared to take on these issues. The American spirit being so sick, Mayor Demings, I know you know what I'm talking about. The people that they are so at each other's throats. We are in a soft civil war by any intelligent person's fair and honest assessment. And in my campaign, I make that priority number one. We have to get to a unity in order to achieve anything. And Mayor Demings, I know that you're a serious man as far as taking seriously the issues of our time and our county. So I commend you for that. And we have so much more. And don't you know, sir, that's all I plan to do as President of the United States. And I say over and over again, again, we all have purpose and value. It starts from right inside, and that you're happy is a magical guy. I've been through so much. I don't lie about that. I am not a perfect candidate, and nor do you need to be a perfect candidate in order to serve the people at any level in this country. What you need to be is perfect of heart, virtue, and value. That's how it starts. So Mayor Demings, it was great to see you, and I'll be out and about in this town all the time, working hard, ever so hard, building this campaign. I appreciate every last bit of help I can get from all of my patriots, everybody in this town who wants to get involved in the campaign that will make a difference. Realize this is the campaign that's bringing people together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, all Americans, so that we can actually deal with the problems in our country and that we can actually deal with the continuity of life. Think about it, the kinds of issues we're dealing with that are fast approaching. We have to think about our families, our children, our futures. That's what I'm talking about, and that's why as running as a Democrat for president, I have, and I take pride in the fact that I have had so many conservative backers. In fact, and indeed half of my backers right now are conservatives, Trump's people. I myself voted for Donald Trump in the last election. I can hold him to account as the Democratic nominee, and I assure you I would. He failed to deliver health care to people. My mother died, my brother died, my father died, my sister-in-law died, all of them without adequate health care and due to severe problems brought upon the American people through the leadership of these condescending candidates that have been exercising That's why we in this campaign realize we have to put humanity first, and the only way to do that is to put humanity over capitalism. And so that's what we're doing. Capitalism. The only way to save capitalism, I think. So again, this was a great opportunity, Mayor Demings, to get acquainted with you, sir, and in order to get out into the community and make more friends and realize, because I know that it takes a community to get anything done, and we in this American community are capable of so much when we are the American, all of us. We are serving for this nation. When I am your president of this country, I assure you we are going to take care of the situation at hand. We can't allow greed. This problem has been infecting the soul of our people. We have to realize if we ever intend to get the magical aspects of our human spirit out and about so that we can love and be free in that love, we have to get to love, I contend, and we can. And that love is truth and love is pure love. And I break that down in my campaign because you might think it's simple, but it's not. And it's at the heart of our problems. We have to get away from that hate everybody's exercising, away from that disunity, and towards love. And with my leadership, I know that we'll do exactly that. And I live in a magical world. And before I allow you or anybody else to pull me out of that magical world, mind you, I'm in Orlando. That's home of Disney World. You better believe the city beautiful, the city magical of Orlando, Florida, with your humble and whole HappyHealer for president, will not leave his magical world, but instead bring this country into the magical world of the HappyHealer and get our people loving. And let's move on to happier, brighter times, because, and I contend, this country needs a happy healer. God bless you, and God bless America. And Jerry, I'll see you soon, sir.
I'd love if you had some time to meet you, if that would be possible, because I would like to talk to you more about my plans. I'm a humble guy, and I don't have a card on me. But
you gotta get a card, man.
I gotta get a card. Let me tell you, I know I'm running for president of the United States. I don't have a card. Let me tell you. But I'm a very humble guy, Mayor. It's not about being somebody way up here. We have our condescending candidates. Yeah, that's true. We're going to need that, so we'll take care of that. But I want you to seriously take me serious. Just because I'm a humble guy and from down here, it doesn't matter. I've got the heart of gold. I've got humility. That's fine. You need all that to do anything.
From the university?
No, sir.
From high school here?
Yeah, I went to Valencia, but I was in my business as an entrepreneur. And then I came out of that and went on a spiritual journey.
What kind of business?
Transportation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good on this.
Yeah. Transportation.
I know all about transportation, the charter buses and all that good stuff.
All right, man.
Yeah, man.
I got to talk to all these people.
I'm going to reach out to you.
Next time, bring your car.
Fine, I'm going to reach out to your office, sir.
Not everything I say you're going to understand right off the bat, but I assure you that everything I say equals just right for what you want, and that it is just right for a unity that can be sustained in this country, and is just right for the growth of our families, for the future safety of our families, for our country to be prosperous, for the American dream to be true again, for the American people in the largest ways possible to deliver on the plan of love. My fellow Americans, it's time, and love in action. And for anybody who's familiar with how well love solves issues, and for those people who have been experiencing God's almighty miraculous words of hope, and you know those words, then you know that doing things with greed is the reason why we're all suffering so much. But yet that if we do things for humanity, we can actually serve both the cause to people who love God Almighty, as well as the cause to people who just love life and love humanity. They want to see humanity cared for. They want to get racism taken care of, bigotry taken. They know we can do this stuff, and that it's within our capacity to be able to do it. They know that. Hi, how are you? Keith.
Hey, oh my God. The
Appreciate you.
HappyHealer. I think
I
I've
am
seen
the
you on
Happy-
social media.
Yes.
You know?
I've been making a big push on social media. I'm so excited. You know, I've been in my own little Happy Healer world, but I have to come out
Did
more
you
in
see
the
how happy
community.
you made people?
Yeah. They're so great.
No, it's
Yeah.
a pleasure. Thank you. I don't need to be abrupt when I'm up here, but we want to, otherwise people can't get,
I loved it. I just went last. I figured that'd be great. And I could talk forever, so I have
really
to be careful to
appreciate
just,
I'm glad you edited your remarks.
Yeah.
You brought down the house.
Yes, yes, a great way to end things on a positive. Individually, we have all been growing so much and in such powerful ways. But as a collective, we are so incredibly sick, and I contend it will take somebody from the bottom, such as your Happy Healer, who can gain the vote of confidence of his compatriots, who can fill this need at a time when America needs it most, and who can respond to this calling. That's why I'm here. So when I had a chance to stand up in front of my friends right here in Orlando, together with Mayor Demings, I felt completely compelled in the moment to do exactly that, as well as I felt welcomed by Mayor Demings. Thank you for that. And I have some great footage that I would like to share with you from this evening, and the opportunity that I had to shake Mayor Demings' hand, and that we talked about the transportation conditions in this city, and that so many of the local Orlando residents came out to talk about their opinions as to what we should do to solve this city's crises. And together we came out to discuss what we should do for this city's transportation problems. But remember, this country is having problems too, my fellow Americans. This country, my fellow Orlandoans, this country is having problems, and we need to address these issues. I'm prepared to do that as your next president. I will earn your confidence. No, I'm not a typical politician, not at all. Like, you already know what I am. I am your Happy Healer for President, Keith Landi. I come to you as a whole person, yet a humble person, in the cause of freedom and self-determination. My mission is clear. I want a happy, safe world so that my magical world is safe in it. And it just so happens all of our worlds will be safe in it, and we'll all be better off for it because we get to grow as a people. It has been so long since our last spiritual awakening, our age of enlightenment that happened several hundred years ago, and was the culmination of which resulted in our current industrial revolution that led to the technological revolution we are going through now. And yet we are so far from the promise that we were given then. We know that we still have so much more work to do, and that while we are failing to do it because we're too busy fighting our senseless civil war, when actually both sides and all sides of America want this future we're talking about right here, well, in the meantime, we have China, who is working on precisely that technology. Should they bring in the technological singularity before America does, which we will be talking about in this campaign, then America will atone for that in ways that we are not prepared to. My fellow Americans, take that as a warning. It is the truth, and it is a humble truth. It is a holy truth, and it is the only truth. Because we are busy fighting with each other in a discombobulated state, disunity and incivility. We are losing our minds. Insanity is taking over our people, and it's time to step back. That's why I contend as your happy healer for president, I am prepared to do exactly that. Mayor Demings, thank you for giving me your time today, sir. It is an honor and pleasure and distinct privilege to have been able to meet you and shake your hand. I intend on leading, should I have the distinct pleasure and privilege as president, right here from Orlando, Florida, doing the hard work just like all Americans would need to do in order to build this country up, in order to build our families up, and in order to institute the great policies of the new age, of the new world in America, starting right here that we build. And in this magical city of Orlando, let it be the starting place, together with your happy healer for president. And Mayor Demings, your story's in that too, sir, because you're right here in Orlando, and I appreciate you being nice to me today. And I'll be reaching out to more people, and I'll ask for your kindness as well. And you'll always have my love, honesty, and I'll always be an honest broker of truth. I am not a perfect candidate. I never came to you as being perfect. I never promised perfection. Instead, I said I love, and I am proud of my love candidate, and I know that that will fix all of our issues, and that instead love together with honesty is all we should ever expect of a candidate, because when we expect and demand perfection, all we ever get is so far from it. And because we're living in a greedy world, greed corrupts. What we get are the best liars. So you ask for perfection, my fellow Americans, and what you ended up with was a perfect liar. I say let's put the past behind us. Let's move on to a bright new happy healer magical from Orlando future, and let's get on the book to prosperity, the kind that we can all be so proud of. Love together in, and do together in, and prosper together in, and we shall all deal with and atone to America's greatest disaster it has ever faced. All of them virtually coming in the next 10 years. And I contend there's at least on 10 different fronts disasters ranging from nuclear proliferation to China and their technological revolution, while we fight a civil war, which also happens to be another one. We have global warming. We have, and this list just continues to go on, and I'm sure you can add many of your own. So I will leave you with this. Realize our times count on serious people, not politics. Real answers. Real honest brokers of truth that can say to you, listen to the truth coming out of my mouth. Is that the truth that you see? Good. Confirmed. Because it's also the truth I see. And if we don't do something about it, we are getting ready to lose our very way of lives. So we're very serious about that task ahead. And I, Keith Lane, as your happy healer for president, have the charge to keep. And I intend to keep that charge. Thank you. Good night, and God bless you. Mayor Demings, we'll see you soon.
Because in all honesty, I mean, if we went to 4 lanes, why can't we have 2 turning lanes at one point instead of keeping us at the same spot? And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Comment tonight.
The final one, the last one, it looks like in the last, we say the last, the best is for last, and that is Mayor. Thank you for showing up. I am your happy healer, Keith Landi. I'm right here in Orlando, Florida. I wanted to be last because I'm actually running for president of the United States. And so, thank you. And if you get a chance, go to HappyHealerForPresident.com. HappyHealerForPresident.com. And thank you, Mayor. Things on yours, different options, but you know, I like the Mavic one more than we got. I like it. It's pretty cool. 30 minutes is what they say. So, sorry, so now it should be. And what it'll do, it's changing altitude. So like, let's say I walk around here. I shouldn't go in this guy's yard. I'm just trying to like go around a tree so it can show you. It's flying itself. This is AI in the year 2019, guys. Isn't that impressive? No, that's something that the Mavic 1 don't do. So, I mean, how much skill do you need when it can fly itself? And it can do it backwards, too. And it watches itself. It's not going to hit something too much. I mean, it's pretty good. Oh, and while it's flying, it keeps you center frame. So, you know, let's say you're just making a movie, or, you know, you can't always be, sometimes you're the one that's in the movie, so you can't be flying. So, you know, maybe you can hand this off to a friend or put it down. Oh, and it varies. It can go back a bit further. Like, I brought it in so that it would follow me close distance in between obstacles. But you can active track for that. You know? I mean, I've always been into the passion part of it. And like, I could sit here and just on demand do things these guys with the licenses, they can't do. I have the Zoom, but no, this is not that one. Yeah, they sell the camera separate too now. Well, you can get the camera separate. The camera comes off and you can get insurance for $70 through State Farm. Yeah, because it gives you peace of mind when you're learning to fly, you know, so you can have the confidence to do like, you know, cool stuff and get the shots you want, you know. Plus too, the sunsets and the horizon is so amazing. And I could fly, I mean, like, you see, yeah, you have to kind of get good for doing manual orbits. Yeah. And then now we got, and it's always good to have a spotter too. Because you never know what kind of trouble you can get yourself really into without somebody that kind of can help you see what's going on. Yeah. I just live a fucking fun life, you know? Yeah, I edit on Final Cut Pro. Yeah, I like Premiere too, but Premiere's just a bit.
I started on Final Cut 7.
Final Cut's just a simpler program, and Apple's a little bit easier to deal with. Yeah, I mean PC's awesome, but you know, so we'll just go between these two trees right here. I like getting low to the ground too sometimes. Shot, and then you can just kind of take it up.
I'm actually a DP.
Okay, what's cool. That? Oh, do you really? I want to get more in. Like, well, I already do the art and stuff, but I want to, like, literally, I'm so creative. I'm running for president out of my creativity, but also it's a real thing. It's a very real thing. I might actually become our next president. It's pretty cool. I mean, shit, I don't leave it to any one thing. I just enjoy life and do the things that I feel like doing, that's all. I think that's the way we should all. When it gets down to it, the brass tacks of things, we all pretty much want the same shit, you know? There's something, like, beautiful in the honesty of that, you know? Yeah. And I'll do the same thing right around us. That's how nice art would be, right? It's transitioning smoothly. That's what I'm serious about, is that art.
Do I have a light on the bottom of that?
Yeah.
Did you put it on there, or
it comes with it? Yeah. And you could
put a light on mine. Just the wind kept pushing it back.
Yeah.
And then I can same day it's all.
Oh, I put mine up in a hurricane once. I almost lost mine. See, the thing about it is there's like about 4 or 5 things that happens with drones, because you're not actually in the drone, and you could lose your connection, or like there's little things.
If you lose the connection on this one, you still control it.
Yeah.
But the Phantom, when that happened to me, you don't see anything, you lose everything.
Yeah, and this has some pretty good AI to it as well. AI is going through the roof. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do it a whole lot. Yeah, like, and you don't really know. Plus, too, I'm not sure. Like, China's doing really good with the creativity of their products, but, and it's a big but, it's China, and they want to like get all your records and stuff. Oh, now I got on sport mode, so we'll come burning through hot. We'll come through burning hot right between those trees again. Ah! Hey, baby. You know, somebody's asked me, what advice can you give a 22-year-old guy? He's working in this world, he just wants to be able to get a life going that he can enjoy. He's a young guy, and in this world, this greedy world. What about for him? Because often he's the guy that's really most under attack in these ways. Greed presses on a man, and it changes him in a way that makes him more aggressive towards greed. He feels he has the need, and it's justified in order to provide for his family. that greed is the only way to get that done. It's a psychological condition that greed has on the hold of men. Women too. However, women are also nurturers of life. However, that women are also nurturers of life means then that they are willing to go further in the process of life than men often are. They have that patience, which is always a virtue. They exercise that virtuous patience, often when men do not. Men are so impatient when it comes to certain things that makes women almost not just the nurturers by nature, but seemingly the nurturers by nature, mothers, women, the only option for nurture. And so this greed really makes it like that, doesn't it? Because we know that men could be sweethearts too, and that the best kind of man who has grown up to learn how to be a man, and I often say I'm a boy. Well, that's because I'm in touch with my childhood. And the best kind of men, I'm a 40-year-old man. Think about that. I'm getting younger as all these other men are getting older. The best kind of man is in touch with his childhood and all of his emotions. He can deal with things, and he can do them right, and he can have a moral compass about how he does that. Instead, the way they do men these days is it's about fake toughness and very real greedy following. They make men followers, and that's what about being a man is in 2019, and that's sad. It's masculinity has never been the thing that needs to be under attack. It's greed. Masculinity gives our women something to crave in men and gay men, and it gives us the balance we need. Greed, on the other hand, gave us bigotry and racism and hell and no fun and so much pain and hell to pay, where love gives us understanding. It gives us knowledge. It makes us better. It makes us better. And that's so grand. Because when we become better, then we learn and we become progressive. And so in this campaign, I am your most progressive candidate. I bring God on for the trip. Trust me, progressives, in the future you love God, and that we all have that freedom was built into our country and its founding, so let's not get scared about that. And that we all love life, and in this campaign, we have the ability to bring together Americans who they love God and they love life, and now they love each other in this campaign. And we get away from the incivility, the disunity, and the soft civil war that is our discombobulated population in hateful action and greed. We have a soft civil war. We have to address that. I will, as your next president. I promise you that. Because if I don't, we will have more hell to pay. And we have already paid enough. So I shall take care of that. And one thing is, as you know, some of you who have been paying attention to the HappyHealer evolution, thank you. I love you. And I care about you too. Well, we have this week went to go see Jerry Demings. He is the mayor of Orange County. And I live in Orange County, and I also am right next to the city of Orlando. I am basically in the city. Geographically, I am basically in this city. And the way they have it all written, it just puts me in the county. So, that's where I'm at. And Mayor Demings was amazing. I appreciated seeing him on Monday evening. And I'm sharing that with you. You'll like that. And it was a good opportunity to talk about things that are happening in our country and to bring people, ordinary citizens, together with the representatives and the government that represents them in even their own home cities. We have a lot of work to do. We have to get used to doing that kind of stuff. And so I loved it. And the next program that'll be coming out is actually on Mayor Demings. I'm feeling really good about the campaign. I really think we're going to get to be able to do this special thing called running for president, and to do it in a noble and pure way and to serve the people. That's such an amazing thing. I'm having so much fun knowing that we have real answers that'll solve problems for real people. My goodness, that's a great thing to know. And I look forward to seeing you out on the campaign trail. Get involved. Help, please. We need it. Help your Happy Healer wherever you can. Help your Happy Healer. Make me your man, even though I'm a boy. But guess what? In order to be a man, you have to keep your boyhood and childhood about you, your girlhood, because children know how to love, and they don't do judgment and hate the way that adults have learned to do with that greed. Children exercise a very innocent kind of jealousy. You know, love and hate is so thin, the line between them, we know that. We often get confused by that because the very nature of greed is to confuse us. Remember, that's the power of the devil. And the deception is the very makeup of how the devil wins. You know that if the devil is winning, and you can see around in our world it seems to be the devil is winning, well then you know that for him to win, his tools he uses, the greatest one of all is deception. That is why God is love and truth. That is why in this campaign we are the essence of God, love, and the essence of God, truth. And that, my fellow Americans, is why we bring Trump's people who love God, together with people who just love life. It's how we unite our country. It's how we're so confident in saying we have Trump's people. And also because in our campaign, the small representative we've been running for 5 months shows the larger truth, which is that if we were a national candidate, it would be the same way like it is now. We would have half of our people being Trump's people, because that is who is and are Americans, and they are with us in this campaign. And I'm happy to know that. God bless you all. You should also be happy to know that, and I believe and think you are. We shall do such amazing and special things together. That is why this is so fun, and I will continue having fun on this because I know that it answers and atones to the greatest hell that the American people, and for that matter all people, have been dealing with because of the greed, the devil of the greed that it just is. You don't even have to look at it in a religious way. It's as factual as science is. We see its ugly tentacles all over everything, including science, and including our healthcare, which is not healthcare, it's greed care. And so we will win this battle with light, with luminosity, and with love. I'll see you soon. Your Happy Healer for President. Get over to www.happyhealerforpresident.com. Our time is of the essence because the essence of time is now. Let's get to work. God bless you and God bless your families too.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Once again, it is Keith Landi, your healer for President of the United States. I am so eager to work for our country, doing the things that I know we all deserve, Mayor. And what I'm quite eager to do is to win this election, to show the American people that I am the best choice for our future, but that by choosing me, we're choosing ourselves, and we're choosing love, and we're choosing clarity, and we're choosing a vision. And that vision includes, sir, getting our country up to a new level of prosperity, including each and every city taking on a new measure of hope, civility, institutionalized learning, so much work getting done from the ground up. And I intend to be working that stuff right here in Orlando, sir, because each person is needed in their home city. In addition to my own responsibilities in Orlando as President of the United States, I will set the standard, sir, and I look forward to working with you to do great things in our city. And I hope and wish and pray to our God Almighty that I have the exact opportunity to do that with you, sir, and that is precisely what we will do together for our magical Orlando, Florida, and that is hope and a future that we can all get excited about. Mayor, it was great talking to you. It was my first time to get to meet you, despite having you as my sheriff for so long. I can't say why fate is acting the way it acts, but it puts us on a path together at this moment in time, where as a citizen of your county, sir, we love Orange County. Orlando, beautiful. Your city, sir. It's my city. Indeed, it's our city. We love Orlando, Florida. We love our home, sir. I get that, and we just want to make it the best we possibly can. And I want to empower Orlando to be its best from a federal level, together with all of our territory in the United States of America, to enact an agenda that is not only just self-sustenance, but that too, because we have to take care of humanity, but also an agenda that fixes our country, our infrastructure, to grow into a new future. We were talking the other day about Hurricane Dorian that was coming fast to our city. Of course, we prayed that baby away, but the reality of it is we can do so much better being prepared for things like hurricanes, and weatherproofing the system better, and using technology in ways that right now we are not doing, and we are not budgeting for it, and we are not accounting for it, and we are not pushing for it, we are not hoping for it, and it's not going to do itself. And in the meantime, we're fighting and expending all of our energy on a pointless civil war that gets us nowhere, sir. And that's why I am running. And unfortunately, I did not have a chance to tell you that in person, given your busy schedule. And I intend to keep my schedule the exact same way, so I admire that. And I only hope, though, however, that we get a chance to get together in short order to talk about some of these things and so many more for our great city, sir. I would love to give you great ideas just for our home and for your job. And that's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure of mine. If you would allow me that opportunity, we can do that, and we could be better off for it. And in this country, sir, I am going to continue putting my best foot forward. I'm going to make the case to the American people. I'm going to make the case to the people right here in Orlando, Florida, and I will not stop making that case, Mayor, because the problems, again. So again, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for speaking out to your citizens, allowing us a voice in our own communities to speak out about the issues important to our families, our lives. Thank you for speaking to me in person, and let's build on that, please. I'm not giving up. I am living a life worth living. I am living for our future and for hope, and to inspire young people and to inspire older people too. We can all be inspired, sir. There is so much opportunity for us to get along and show love and show a way to the top of society in a loving way. We can all be top society. We can all matter. We can all have purpose and value to our core. And that's exactly the kind of president I would be. I would be the commander-in-chief. Sure. But I would also be your inspirer-in-chief, your happy healer for president. And that would be my greatest role and honor and privilege and charge to keep, because the people need that. They need a happy healer who has clarity and who has a vision forward, who can not just possess calm and pizzazz, but can inspire calm and inspire confidence, the confidence that we lack now. And so as your next president, sir, I plan to do all of that and so much more, and I come in confident because I see the other candidates, and I ask myself, Mayor, and I am seriously wondering, which one of these candidates offer us a peaceful future, one where we are not at war with ourselves? This is a major question, considering we are already in a soft civil war by most smart people's accounts. So my question to you too, Mayor, is do you think we are in a soft civil war,
A. And B, what ought we do about that, sir? That we are in this civil war. Should we vote in candidates that are talking about continuing on that kind of hostility? Not having a plan that's reasonable and realistic to bring people together in order to promote our lives, the sustenance, the continuity of life itself in our country, the American way, our culture, our love, our children, even our parents. We could do so much to move so fast. And that, Mayor, is why I am in this race. It's why I came to see you tonight. So, Mayor, as I shook your hand, pondered upon me, you seem to be a great guy for Orange County. I am proud to have you as our mayor. I am proud to have voted for you as our mayor. I am proud to have had you as our sheriff. And I will continue to be proud as I work with you as our president and resident of Orange County, Florida, and this great United States of America. And I intend to forge with you, sir, a partnership bonded in love for our country, our people, and our way of life. We, sir, can do it. We can show them how it's done right here in Orange County. I look forward to becoming the next president and doing my part at my hometown too, because we all have so much work to do, all of our own hometowns, to lift this country to new heights in ways that will affect every soul, because everybody matters. In the America that your happy healer will be the president, given God's mercy upon the people of our country needing these changes so bad, coupled with the opportunity coming together with the historical times we are in. I'm confident, sir, I have the right answers for our future. There is nobody in this race that is more qualified than me, Keith Landi, for President of the United States, your happy healer, in recognizing and realizing that this country needs a happy healer. You know this when families are at each other's throats over politics, and when we have our own homegrown white nationalist terrorism, we know therefore we need a happy healer. Let's fix our spirit and raise our country to new heights. Let's change this place we call home. Let's make it our home that we can all be proud of. Thank you, Mayor. I'm so excited to have met you. I will be reaching out to your office. God bless you. God bless all Orlandoans. And may we all have a very safe, wholesome, and productive morning and afternoon as so far as your Wednesday work day goes. And then not to mention thereafter your little bit of family time left you spend with your family. In the new world, we will have a system that puts humanity first above capitalism. We shall take care of humanity. Humanity will have the time to spend time together with one another in their families. We will build and sustain an economy that can support a 21st century super consumer. That will be the representation of humanity in America. That's what American exceptionalism will look like repaid in the 21st century. And that is what a happy healer presidency will look like. No more civil war. Unity with one nation being under our Creator, God Almighty, working for a future sustainable for one country to live in peace and love so as to exercise its self-determination to do exactly that in freedom. And unless we get away from this civil war and what I like to call our freedom warfare and hateful insanity we see everywhere, we better therefore work every day between now and the election to make your happy healer the next president of the United States, so that we can atone these conditions for the American people and we can serve this middle class. We can bring so many people together in unity. We can put humanity over capitalism, and capitalism 2.0, we will get each American family, as I have always said, $5,000 for a family of 4, or for head of households, we'll have an accounting of $2,500. People deserve to have a life worth living. In the richest country in the world, we will make that possible, and we will also make it possible to have your time so that what American exceptionalism looks like repaid is clear in a Landi presidency. Go and make them spank their behinds.
That's why the evil people is trying to get God people to come on their side so they can overpower God people.
That's right, you know? Yeah, that's the battle that's going on right now. And right now, it appears that the evil ones are winning, but they're not, because the love is so strong when it takes off, it doesn't need but 1 ounce the energy compared to 1,000,000 pounds of hate. The love wins. And the love is a self-feedback force loop. It makes everybody matter and have purpose and value. And that is something greed will never be able to do in an organization. This country becomes a loving organization. You know that's what I'm building, right, Albert? It's not enough to say, oh, we need love and we need to solve racism, let's have more laws. No. We need to change as human beings. And you know that I'm bringing this country on a loving agenda, on a loving journey, on a loving solution to the hell that we have built, to the greed that we have accepted. We will all change, we will all atone, and we will all have so much more because of it. Not just will we end up with all of those greedy ones who felt they had to steal using greed to have nice things, a nice home, provide for their family. They'll have in the loving world twice as much as what they have now. Except for because they stole it, they're the only ones with it now. And that's why I get so angry at them, because they're stealing so much from themselves and from everyone else too. Them greedy bastards.
Oh my God! The Happy Healer. I think I've seen you on social media.
Yeah.
I read your remarks.
Yeah.
You brought down the house.
Yes. HappyHealer for President. In this world, all you need to be focused with is being a lover. Think about the fundamentals. Yes. Think about the fundamentals. The fundamentals are from the building blocks of life, and I mean the smallest aspects. You've got atoms, you've got the tiniest molecules that you could ever imagine. We know that we still have so much more work to do, and that while we are failing to do it because we're too busy fighting our senseless civil war, when actually both sides and all sides of America want this future we're talking about right here, well, in the meantime, we have China who is working on precisely that technology. Should they bring in the technological singularity before America does, which we will be talking about in this campaign, then America will atone for that in ways that we are not prepared to. My fellow Americans, take that as a warning. It is the truth, and it is a humble truth. It is a holy truth, and it is the only truth. Hello, good evening. I am Keith Landi, your Happy Healer for President of the United States. All right, we're getting ready to go into the meeting here. This is for the Transportation Town Hall. Americans, take that. The final and the last one. It looks like in the last, we saved the last, the best is for last, and that is Mayor. Thank you for showing up. I am your Happy Healer, Keith Landi. I'm right here in Orlando, Florida. I wanted to be last because I'm actually running for President of the United States. Thank you. And if you get a chance, go to HappyHealerForPresident.com. HappyHealerForPresident.com. And thank you, Mayor. Hello. In this world, all you need to be focused with, alright, don't be a lover. We had them excited up there. It feels like everything I do is just a different way than how people are running their campaigns. So it's easier to just do this. Yeah. And to just have those moments and then make. Okay, so what we have behind here is just that program we just ran through, and so it'll be airing again tomorrow. This time it'll go on just the program only without anything extra, no live part, and it'll go directly up to the channels. So that's the higher quality version, and so both of these play a purpose in our media. That's kind of how we do things with the larger projects, because otherwise it's hard to get to the good stuff when some people may not even see it, when we have so much stuff we're talking about in general in the campaign. It will be like that. So sometimes you'll see the same message that comes through, but it'll be of a higher quality version, and that's not live. But everything that comes through live on this program has never been seen before. And occasionally because of the situation and it warrants it, like when we had that debate between me and Mayor Pete, I showed that. Why not? I mean, that's sort of important in this case. And I really don't understand why so many of these candidates, they really don't have any leadership skills. It concerns me. How can we have people who don't have these kinds of skills talk about being president of the United States? And if they don't have these skills now, they don't just, you don't learn this stuff. I mean, these guys are going to be president essentially in a year and a half. They're not prepared for that. And it's funny, they would say that I'm not prepared. And the funny thing is about that is that's what condescending people do. And so I'm prepared for that argument. Not only am I prepared for the presidency, but I'm prepared for all of these arguments, and we will be making these arguments on the campaign trail. I assure you they will attack and attach and find their targets, because their targets do greed, making themselves targets. As such, I do love, and as such, I am just like your rubber band that bounces off and comes back at you. But let me tell you, Donald Trump's a lot the same way. To have a candidate that's like that would actually help in this case, wouldn't it, for the Democrats? And love keeps you safe. I'm not worried too much about bad things happening when we are doing things that are right for the people, when we are following the truth that God lays before us, when we are doing things to the true cause and nature of our time. I'm not too much worried about the extra hell that there is. I know there's hell. We all know there's hell. That's what we're here to atone. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to deal with it. That's what people do in these kinds of situations. If we don't get serious about that, then we're going to have to pay the price for that. That's what it's coming down to. And let me go ahead and my voice, I'm always against my voice because I use it a lot. Running for president, you have to say a lot. Turns out that's fine. I have a lot to say anyway. And sometimes it's nice. I'm getting ready to close this out. Sometimes it's nice to just lower your voice and your thoughts can flow a little bit easier. And the moment I feel right now is a good time to do that. You know, life is so precious. And to be able to serve as such not only a unique set of challenges unlike any other endeavor one could take. It's like a lot of endeavors, but I mean, I don't want to make light of other endeavors, but let me say, when you're running for president of the United States, you should realize that people's lives, they matter. And I'm not sure that from an area of greed that you can ever really say that. Because greed is going to take away from that argument no matter how you add it up. For example, how can you say that you're against abortion because you care about humanity? And I understand that. That makes sense. That you care about humanity and that you love our spirit and that you care about our salvation and that abortion therefore concerns you. However, then to be okay with the greed? I think this world is so evil in its greed that we have to realize that of course it has abortion. So many people that love even are so depressed about bringing people into this world. Think about that. We have to deal with those truths. That's why I'm running, because I know that we can actually set up this new world that we're all deserving of, that when we get there, we can leave it to women themselves to decide on this issue. We can trust the nurturers of life, but not to do it now. I'm telling you, they will choose the greedy option for sure. They will choose the one that takes life away for sure, because this is not how you show you care about life. And so, those of you who believe that healthcare is a bad thing, are you willing to sell your salvation for it? Because let me tell you, whatever your greedy reason is for being against healthcare, taking care of humanity will actually save this democracy. Think about that. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we'll be sharing this message we just had. We were on for a long time tonight, a couple hours. We put on programming that is well thought out, that is directly to the issues. We're doing this kind of stuff often. We have like what amounts to so many hours of just intense golden information for people to learn from and to draw energy from and to grow from. And so please use and pick up what I'm laying down. And Mayor Demings, if you stuck through for this entire cast, you know then that you were part of this show in a big way, and that's because I stepped up on your party and was able to make a great showing, and it felt so great. And you're a great guy. I followed your career, and you are somebody who I admire that's locally, and because I think if I am successful in being able to do this great endeavor, that we will do wonderful things right here in this city. So thank you, sir, and please, let's do make an opportunity to get together. I would like to come, if I could, to your office or extend an invitation for you to come to the Happy Healer Organization of Truth, Love, and Happiness. And I could talk to you about the Landi Mantix brands of passions and the Sub-Mantix brands of passions. There's over 40 of them, sir. And so we will talk about that and so much more and what we can do in this city and some ideas that I could even take around the country, that I could talk to other mayors about how we can build this country up and get people involved on the ground level of building up each city. That's the kind of president I will be. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night, and God bless you, and God bless your families too. Take care of yourselves. Do that, and take care of each other too. Good night.